Tonight on GamePoints 382, we have Xbox announcing Developer Direct sometime next week. Hogwarts Legacy was the best scaling game of 2023, and massive layoffs at Twitch and Unity, more than just a handful this time around. All that and more in just a moment. But first, I invite everyone here to join the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns you might have, regardless if you're watching live here at Twitch TV/GamePoints or later at YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, etc. I want to know what you guys out there think. Let's go ahead and move on to the very first story here from Xbox itself, from their blog. The links to all these, by the way, will be provided down in the description below or over on our Discord server. Feel free to read them at your own leisure. We have Xbox to present a developer direct returning on January 18th. This is from the Xbox Wire, which is essentially their PR team for the most part. On Thursday, January 18th at 12 p.m. Pacific, fans will get an inside look at selection of highly anticipated games coming to the Xbox Series S and X, PC. I've already lost where I was. Oh boy, there we go. PC and Game Pass. Shortly after, ZeniMax Online Studios will host the Elder Scrolls Online 2024 Global Reveal at 1 p.m. to preview 2024's biggest update. Presented by the game creators themselves, Developer Direct will offer an in-depth look at upcoming titles, how they're being created, and who's creating them. We'll visit Machine Games in Sweden to check in on their Indiana Jones game, swing by Obsidian's Irvine offices to see more from Avowed, head to Oxide Games' Maryland home to learn all about Ara History Untold, and take a trip to Cambridge, England to see Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 from Ninja Theory. Please note that while this show won't have updates on games from Activision Blizzard, you can look forward to news from those teams later this year. They are telling everyone what is going to be in this. Do not expect anything more than these 4 games. Now, there are 4 games that are going to be big. A lot of people have an interest in them. I'm curious about that Indiana Jones is going to be. Avowed could potentially be banging. A lot of people were into Hellblade, and as for Araya, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Who knows, but we'll see. But don't expect any news on a new Gears of War or Halo or what the hell is going on with Perfect Dark or Fable. They're telling you up front, this is what we are talking about. So manage your expectations. I would even doubt there would be any just one more thing kind of tease, because they don't want to get people hyped for things in the future if they're not going to deliver on that. So 4 games, here you go. Now, if they're starting the show at noon Pacific time, and then you have the Elder Scrolls Online updates at 1, probably 45 minutes, maybe 50. We'll definitely see, because we'll be streaming this one live come Thursday right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. Now, we do have some idea of what they're going to show for each game. For the Indiana Jones game, they're going to be 10 minutes of gameplay. Awesome. First time I think we're really going to be getting a deep dive into whatever the hell this is going on. Showing off details about the setting, the story, and how fans will actually play as Indy, according to the article here. I like Machine Games. They've done some solid work. The New Order was awesome. The new Colossus, not so much, and let's not talk about the one with the twins in it. Avowed, I trust Obsidian, but I don't know if I have absolute faith in Obsidian. Now, Obsidian's given us some great stuff before, but they also gave us the Outer Worlds, and I thought the Outer Worlds was boring as hell. I'm hoping that they fix things with Avowed. But considering we really don't know all that much about Avowed, it's still kind of up in the air. Hopefully this conference will shed some light on what the hell's going on with this, get a better idea of the world that they have crafted, and we can actually maybe see a little bit under the hood as far as the mechanics are going to be, which are important to any RPG. Ara History Untold, I barely remember this. I think I've seen the name getting tossed around a little bit, but I am excited that it's going to be a historical grand strategy game made by Civilization 5 people. That is my wheelhouse. I love those games. We'll see if this one is good. I wish I knew more about it off the top of my head. But they're going to be getting to that. And of course, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. Senua's Sacrifice was awesome. They have been teasing the hell out of this for a couple years now. Good to see it seemingly coming into focus. I would imagine all of these could be released this year, by the way. So it's going to be more of your near releases, hopefully maybe within the next 6 to 9 months. Now, for those of you wondering, no way they're going to have Indiana Jones up this close. Well, certainly seems that way. We'll go to Insider Gamer for this next story here. The new Indiana Jones game by ZeniMax Media will be released in 2024, according to sources close to the game. At least that's what they've been telling Insider Gaming. Furthermore, many other insiders, like Shinobi, for example, on X, have said, hey, they haven't come out and said it, but they've more or less alluded that this game is way closer than anyone thinks. Perhaps June or July? We'll see. I fully expect if it's coming out in 2024 that we get a release date, not just a window, but date come that developer direct. Indiana Jones, in my opinion, has suffered a few black eyes of its last few movies. The forgettable Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, whose plot I can barely remember other than a crystal skull being in it. And let's not talk about the more recent Dial of Destiny. However, that original trilogy still slaps, and if it maintains that feeling and spirit of those original movies, really looking forward to this. Plus, there'll be some great Indiana Jones games out there. If you ever get a chance, go take a look at Fate of Atlantis. That was pretty solid, if it's the one I remember. Haze of a couple decades since I've played that one, so take that one with a grain of salt, but I remember enjoying it. 2023 has come to an end, by the way, one of the biggest years in gaming that we've seen in a long, long time. However, when it comes to pure sales figures, one game stands alone amongst them all. We go to Video Game Chronicle to talk about how Harry Potter is the biggest selling game of 2023. Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy, specifically, I should say. That is impressive on its own because typically, I think for like the past 15 years, it's either been Call of Duty or a game Rockstar made, be it Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption. The fact that both of those were dethroned, admittedly Rockstar didn't have a game 2023, by Hogwarts Legacy is impressive, considering how much hate this game got online by the corporate access media, as it were. You know who I'm talking about, the Polygons, the Kotakus, the GameSpots. They were all throwing this goddamn thing under the bus because they had a political axe to grind with its creator, J.K. Rowling. I almost call her J.K. Simmons for a second, but she is not J. Jonah Jameson, although in their mind she certainly seems to be on that level of comic villainy when it comes to how they see the world. The fact that this game was the best-selling game, topping all the Call of Duties, topping everything else that came out this year, Baldur's Gate, Spider-Man, God of War. Admittedly, Spider-Man and Baldur's Gate both released later in the year, whereas Hogwarts Legacy was very early in it, so they had more months to build up momentum. The fact that all these people were throwing this on the bus, giving it like a 1 out of 10 at some hack review site because it had a political axe to grind, shows how irrelevant these sites are today. No one pays attention anymore other than to mock and at them. That's not to say this is a great game in my opinion. I played about a couple hours of it and I thought it was a solid 7, maybe even an 8 game. It reminded me a lot of Ubisoft's efforts with some of their later Far Cry's and Assassin's Creeds, with just a kind of bland open world to explore around in. But people do love it. People love the franchise, and they gobbled it up. Massive, massive numbers. So expect more Hogwarts Legacy coming. A sequel is a shoo-in, but they're also going to be doing a bunch of spin-offs of specifically this, which is what this article is going to be getting into. Let's go ahead and go into the article here from Video Game Chronicle. Warner Brothers has teased plans to release more games based on its Wizarding World franchise following Hogwarts Legacy's success. In an interview with Variety, I linked to the Video Game Chronicle rather than the Variety one because the Variety one goes off into many other ungaming related things. This gets a little bit more of a streamlined point across. Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment president David Haddad had said the Harry Potter RPG sold over 22 million copies between its release in February 2023 and the end of the calendar year. That made it the best-selling game of the entire industry worldwide, he claimed. Warner plans to follow up on its successes with Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, which was revealed last April, and a series of other things that are currently unannounced and will let the fans be part of this world and stories and characters in deeper and deeper ways. Once again, you can expect a sequel, possibly some DLC. I'm sure they didn't necessarily have DLC planned, but when you sell 22 million copies, you damn well better believe they are planning some DLC for this game. Maybe a half expansion, maybe something like Miles Morales on the PlayStation 2, or the upcoming Venom as shown by the Insomniac leaks, which seems to also be in scope of Miles Morales, by the way, or First Light if you want to use Infamous, or what's the Uncharted one called? Anyways, you guys get my point. Get fucked, woke scolds, I guess. The people who were bitching about this. And let me make my point on this clear. If you do not want to play Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy because it offends your political sensibilities, knock yourself out. I don't care. That's a principled decision. I'm happy to let you make that choice. I am not going to get all uppity about it. I do the same thing with many things out there. If I find like Tencent or SNK, which is now owned by the Saudi Arabian private investment firm, are producing something, I gotta think long and hard about whether or not I want to support that and give it money, because I find both the Chinese Communist Party and the Saudi royal family to be just despicable on multiple levels. However, I do not then demand you not play those things. The people that were attacking Hogwarts Legacy were going out of their way to ruin this game for other people. And that is a line of unacceptability that just cannot be crossed. So to see this game succeed despite their best efforts puts a smile on my face, because these people can get 7 levels of different fucked. It just shows how little power they actually have. So congratulations to the team at WB, who have endured massive hate for creating something. Let's not forget the shit Troy Levitt went through. I believe he was the guy that was working on it that eventually bounced down on it. Avalanche Studios, I should say, not WB produced it. Avalanche made it. You guys went through all kinds of undeserved hate because you dared make a game based on a franchise people love. And it's not like they're doing anything to hurt J.K. Rowling. She got her money one way or another. This game could have flopped. She made the same amount of money either way. They're doing it not because they're principled, moral people. They're doing it because they love to have power over others. So anytime those people get fucked over, puts a smile on my face. Once again, if you're not one of those people that get upset someone else plays a Wizard game and you don't want to play it, knock yourself out. It is a principled stance, and I take many of them myself when it comes to things I want to play. If you don't want to play this game because of things J.K. Rowling said, more power to you. It's when you start insisting everyone else do the same that you've crossed the line. Anyways, let me know what you think down below. This one specifically, I'm kind of curious to see how people are feeling about it. Just try to keep it civil. Let's keep the bad terms that will get me yeeted off YouTube to a minimum, shall we? Thank you, and let's move on. Coming up here via Reuters, Unity Software to cut 25% of its staff in company reset continuation. Now, we've talked about multiple times in the past on the show about how Unity had to lay off many people in the wake of their disastrous attempt to charge fees for installing the runtime fee controversy. Just look that up and they'll break down the details better than I can sum them up. But long story short, they lost the trust of a lot of developers who were using Unity, and many of them have since bounced out, either stopping to use Unity altogether, switching to Unreal 5, or saying, hey, we have to finish up what we're working on, we're too far along, but after that, we're moving to Unreal or any other engines out there. It was so disastrous that the CEO, formerly of EA, John Riccitiello, I'm not really too sure how to pronounce his name. Many older people in the gaming community remember him from his days at EA when he oversaw a series of disasters. Ended up, quote unquote, retiring after the backlash to it, which is a nice way of saying his ass was shoved out a window, albeit with a golden parachute, because they always have one, right? Unity has been irreversibly damaged from that horrendous decision that they then ended up backing off of. And the bleeding of the company continues to this day with the news here. To the article itself from Reuters. Video game software publisher Unity Software will target laying off approximately 25% of its workforce, or 1,800 jobs, the company said in regulatory filing an internal company memo on Monday. That is massive. Most of these game layoffs that I mentioned are usually anywhere between 10 to a couple hundred, but almost 2,000 people are getting yeeted because of the poor decision making of John Riccitiello. Admittedly, you don't make these decisions in the vacuum. It's not like he was a dictator. He would have had the support of many other people at the C-suite level too. But once again, his mistake is being taken out on those significantly lower down on the ladder than. Fuck that man. May he never, ever work in this industry. Back to the article. After the announcement, Unity shares were up nearly 5% in after-hours trading. Makes sense. You cut. I don't blame that. I don't blame people for that. You cut costs, you become more profitable. Your stock is going to go up. It sounds crass, but that is the way it works. What you should be concerned about is if you suddenly cut off a quarter of your staff, if there aren't other deeper problems that layoffs aren't going to fix. Moving on. This is the San Francisco-based company's largest layoff ever, with completion expected by the end of March, the company said. Monday's job cuts will affect all teams, regions, and areas of the business, the company told Reuters. The layoffs come shortly after interim CEO Jim Whitehurst announced a company reset in November. We are reducing the number of things we are doing in order to focus our core business and drive long-term success and profitability, Whitehurst wrote in the memo to all Unity employees on Monday. While Whitehurst provided no specifics on the structural changes to come, a company spokesman confirmed there will be additional changes coming. This is the fourth round of layoffs the company has had since July of 2022. I have a dark prediction for this year. 2023 was horrendous for layoffs in the game industry. One of, if not the worst I've ever seen. And the industry goes through highs and lows. That's just a given. And layoffs typically come after a big project is wrapped up. Almost always, even during good times. What we are going to go through in 2024 is possibly going to be, once again, not financial advice, is going to be one of the worst economic situations we have ever seen globally, in my opinion. Layoffs come naturally with them. And now look at 2023. Let's take the economics out of it. Look at all the bangers of games that we had, especially at the end of the year. All those amazing Game of the Year contenders, massive projects that takes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in some cases. And now they're done. Which means those people are now attached to a studio that does not need that many people on it to begin with. Even the most successful game lays people off when they're finished with it, typically. Or I shouldn't say typically, but it's not unheard of. So you had all these amazing games wrap up, making the industry already kind of ripe to have layoffs. We went through a bad year economically in 2023, and in my opinion will be worse in 2024. It's going to be terrifying to work in this industry. Because my prediction is that the layoffs in 2024 are going to dwarf those that happened in 2023. Because every company was making. Companies make layoffs when they need to stay afloat. And not every company is going to simply be able to make layoffs and stay afloat. You're going to see major publishers go kaboom, in my opinion. For a fact, but I think you will see a major publisher go bust and shut everything down, like Lehman Brothers style back in the housing crisis of 2008. Who do I mean by major? EA, Ubisoft, Capcom. Probably not Take-Two with Grand Theft Auto coming up on the horizon. Probably not Capcom, but Konami. a major publisher will go boom. Square. I know they have Final Fantasy coming up, which is probably going to do well for them, but I don't think any of the other games they released have been doing all that great for them lately. I think you're going to see it go, not Square specifically, but someone big somewhere have to shed about 70 to 80% of their workforce while the last 20 get gobbled up by someone else. Activision Blizzard, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, EA. The mergers and acquisitions are not going to end with Activision. They have been put on hold because everyone was very nervous with the FTC sniffing around it. But now that that's been passed, anything can get gobbled up right now. And if not a major publisher, then a major studio at the very least. Bungie. I absolutely think they're on the chopping block. BioWare. I know that they've been putting a lot of resources into Dragon Age, but the last rumor that I heard is that it needs to sell dozens of millions to be successful. The best-selling game, one of the biggest years we've seen was Hogwarts Legacy, and that only sold 22 million. Dragon Age ain't gonna sell dozens, a couple of dozens. It's not going to be a minimum 24 million copy selling game. No way in hell. It is going to get bad. And I know I have beaten the layoff horse for what feels like the better part of a year now at this point. But I can tell you right now, we are still not even close to seeing light of that tunnel. And to continue on this topic while we're going through here, we're going to go to Bloomberg next, announced a couple hours before the show went live. Amazon's Twitch to cut about 500 employees, which is about 35% of its staff. To the article itself. Hey, you bastard. Oh, there we go. Excuse me. Amazon.com Inc.'s live streaming site Twitch is posed to cut 35% of its staff, or about 500 workers, according to people familiar with the plans, and lay a series of job reductions there. By the way, those are the numbers you're going to start seeing from these. Unless the studio is already like sub 500, it's not going to be 10, 20, 50 people strategically. You're going to see deep reductions across the board, in my opinion, once again. The cuts, which could be announced as soon as Wednesday, come amid concerns over losses at Twitch, and several top executives left the company in the span of a few months. A Twitch spokesperson declined to comment. Yeah, this seems to be leaking. The poor bastards who are working at Twitch have no idea what's coming yet. So they have to go to bed tonight wondering if they're going to have a job tomorrow. Twitch has already undertaken 2 rounds of layoffs last year, cutting 400 positions, part of a wide job reductions at Amazon. Excuse me, I believe Amazon had, here it is right here. The online retail giant initiated its biggest ever corporate job cuts in 2022, which expanded to 27,000 positions across the company. It continued in October with a new round of cuts to its music division, which encompasses the company's audio streaming platform and digital storefront for songs. It was kind of obvious this was coming. If people were paying attention, there's a reason why all the C-suite level execs were leaving. They know a sinking ship when they see. Twitch has been on the downswing things over the past few years, which sucks because I stream here. I'm here live right now at twitch.tv/GamePoints. I might have to find a new home soon if things keep going on like this. And none of the competitors really seem to be able to come close to it. No one's able to really drive home the secret sauce for live streaming just yet. A couple of them coming close, and they're definitely starting to eat into Twitch's profitability, which is one of the reasons why you're having these cuts to begin with. But man, doing this is so expensive in the grand scheme of things with minimal payout. Back when Justin TV was first formed, I don't think people realized how expensive this shit was going to get to host and run and serve and host servers for. But here we are. And someone somewhere will pick up the ball if Twitch does collapse, by the way. It's too much of a cultural zeitgeist completely just do away with. This isn't like a Blockbuster or Hollywood Video situation where you just wake up one day and those are gone. There are too many influencers who sit on these things and give off their opinions that people subscribe to, and someone somewhere is going to find a way to make money off of that shit. Could be YouTube, Could be Rumble, could be Kick, could be whatever. I mean, Microsoft was trying to do something and that didn't go off somewhere, but there will be someone who tries to give it another go, and we will of course follow them if Twitch happens to die. Go to wherever the greener pastures. That's a shame because I used to really enjoy Twitch. I enjoy streaming. I play games on Twitch a lot, but there used to be something more of a community with the company. Then Amazon bought it, and I'm not necessarily one to say, oh, evil corporate overlords came and took things over. But there have been a series of questionable decisions made by Twitch, and I'm not even necessarily relating to its profitability as much as the content that is and isn't allowed on there. And they're kind of pussyfooting around calling certain things what it is. For the fact that I am streaming on Twitch, I won't necessarily get into it because I don't want to necessarily bite the hand that feeds, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and move on before that turns into an even longer rant than it already has been. These are not the only layoffs that are happening, by the way. We have Bossa Studios axing about a third of their staff. These are the people that made, oh my god, what were they working on? I think Surgeon Simulator and something else, but we'll go to the article itself. From GameIndustry.biz. UK developer Bossa Studios has laid off around one-third of its staff, GameIndustry.biz has learned. Sources shared a list of 19 people that are affected by the redundancies, mostly in QA and production roles, as well as non-UK employees. Once again, QA. QA seems to be the first departments that get whacked when these layoffs happen. A part of, in my opinion, the ship it now, patch it later mentality. QA is no longer as important as it once was, because you can just have, well, us do your QA for you. We play the game and go, hey, this is fucked, fix it. And they go, no problem, you'll have a patch in 2 to 6 weeks. And there you go. Why pay QA when you can have people pay you do QA for you by buying the game? Moving on. Bossa Studios confirmed to GameIndustry.biz it did dismiss a number of staff at the end of 2023 and that 40 people remain in the studio. In a statement, co-founder Henrik Olifers told the layoffs are due to a perfect storm of events, including a number of AAA games launching after September that took away the focus from AA and indie games, increasing operational costs, and delayed funding decisions across the industry for new titles. Delayed funding decisions. Interesting that that's getting dropped. Because to me, that reads of investors pulling their money out of the games or just industries in general and stashing it somewhere. It's clear that Game Pass, which never really has been all that profitable for Microsoft, if at all, is paying people less and less money to put their games on that platform, which is why you have a lot of indie developers no longer showing up on there. Money's not worth it. You have that Saudi Arabian investment firm killing the $2 billion deal on Embracer's investment, which led to then Embracer having to lay off, I think, thousands of people at this point over their various studios that they own. There is a pullback of investment in an industry that relies right now heavily on investment. They're all chasing games as a service. And if you're not a big boy like play Sony or Microsoft, you need other. So let me start from the beginning here. Games as a service is an immensely costly venture to undertake. It requires a massive team that you have to pay consistently to churn out content as quickly as possible. Sony, Microsoft, these people can afford to do it. Your mid-tier teams, however, need outside investment to germinate the seeds of that. And they tend to get it from these angel investors. People who might think this could be the next Fortnite of some kind, or League of Legends. And they're willing to take the gamble with their money that they have to spare to see if this works for a cut of the pie when the returns come in. When the economy was banging, people had money to burn and throw around. Now that it's nice and contracted, that money is drying up, which means your mid-level suite of the game as a service games are getting axed, which in turn leads to the industry getting a little bit shakier. which in turn means more investors start pulling out of things that aren't necessarily just games as a service, but smaller titles and smaller publishers, mid-tier publishers, just in general. People are spooked right now. You can kind of feel it in the economy in whole, but when you look at games, there's definitely a feeling of unsustainability that is kind of permeating the higher investment levels going around. Grand Theft Auto is going to be a banger. Yeah, everyone knows that thing's going to make $1 billion like in the first day. No one is Grand Theft Auto but Grand Theft Auto, though. Every game has a chance of being a flop at this point, no matter how big or hyped it is. Even Spider-Man 2, I don't think made nearly as much money as Sony might have been hoping. That game was huge because of how much it cost just to develop it. And when the risk starts outweighing the return on investment, because I'm not just going to risk $1,000 on a chance of getting 1,100 back. I'm going to risk $1,000 on a chance of getting 50,000 back. When your rate of investment drops to the point where it's no longer risk losing that money, investment's going to go bye-bye. Right now, the games industry feels like it's in that spot with all these layoffs and all these investment deals going kaboom. So, like I said, layoffs are going to keep coming. I know I talk about this every week because it keeps happening. Speaking of, we have one more final thing of layoffs to talk about. Archiact. I have no idea how to pronounce that. They're a VR company. There's the people that did Doom 3, the VR edition, which isn't half bad if you actually have access to a VR headset. It's just VR is a very niche product. They had to lay off some people as well. No word on numbers, but they were a smaller team. I'd expect them to be a handful. I want to call these guys out specifically because they are actively trying to get the people that had a layoff fired. All the way down to it's like, hey, if you're looking for people in these divisions, let us know. We have someone that could use the job. Awesome. But companies big and small are getting hit by this. And it sucks. And my best goes out to everyone affected by this. I am tired of reporting layoffs every week. But they are going to coming, and it is going to get worse. We're not even able to see the light on this time. So please be ready. I have one final bit of news I want to get into before I wrap things up. I put it at the end here because it is only tangentially related to video games. We go to Entertainment Tonight to see that The Last of Us 2 Season 2 has actually officially cast its Abby Anderson, an actress by the name of Kaitlyn Dever. I'm going to show my boomerism here and say I have no idea who this person is. No, I'm not wrong. It's you who are wrong for enjoying her. She will be part of the cast playing as Abby in Season 2 of The Last of Us, which actually won some Emmys, or Golden Globes, or whatever that damn award show was that happened a couple days ago. She was in a series called Booksmart, or a movie called Booksmart. I have no idea what Booksmart is. Big enough that they referenced it in this article. Let's just go to the article and go from there. The Booksmart star, age 27, confirmed on Tuesday she'll play Abby, a crucial character in the eponymous video game and the show it's based on, in Season 2 set to begin filming in the spring. So excited to join the family, Dever wrote in a post on Instagram, tagging series creators Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, as well as the Last of Us account. Once again, showing my boomerness, I don't even have an Instagram. I don't even... I could, but I just refuse to get one. Dever's best known for her roles on Tim Allen's Last Man Standing, but most recently starred in Taika Waititi's Next Goal Wins, a show I've never heard of, Hulu's No One Will Save You, never heard of, and Schitt's Creek star Dan Levy's Good Grief on Netflix, also something I've never heard of. I have heard of Last Man Standing, never seen a single episode of it. I guess she's big. More power to her. I'm glad that they finally found their Abby. I know that she has been rumored to be cast as it for a while. And I don't mean this as an insult, but I can see how it can be taken as one with the right amount of snark to it. She has the face for Abby. I swear I don't mean that as an insult. But she I can see her if she like bulks up. I can see her being Abby. She needs to put on like another 90 pounds of pure muscle to do it. But I can see it looks like the base of it already, so I can see her being that character. Oddly enough, as she is now in this photo, she looks more like Ellie than the girl playing her currently, whose name escapes me, Bella Ramsey, I think. But yeah, you bulk her up, you put her in a gym for like a year, just lifting weights after weights after weights, and turn her into a bodybuilder. I think she can actually do damn good, Abby. Be very interesting to see if The Last of Us Season 2 starts off like the second game did. No spoilers to what happens on there, but I'm willing to bet most of you watching this have seen it already. What I think will happen is that they're going to pad out. What I hope, I should say, could happen is that they'll do Season 2 of Last of Us, what they should have done with the game series itself, where it's going to be her and her friends for the first half of that season, and then encountering Joel and Ellie. Not just starting off with them encountering Joel and Ellie. So that way you actually have some reason to sympathize with them, rather than how the game did it. Which, I mean, it's difficult to talk about without spoilers. Don't worry, I'm not going to. But I think that if we would have been able to be given time with Ellie, or not Ellie, Abby and her group of survivors, and their motivations and their reasoning for it, I think, first, to clarify, if you would have given like an in-between game between The Last of Us and Last of Us 2, which Sony loves to do. They gave us that Left Behind, but why didn't you give us Miles Morales with Abby's crew before the second game started or something like that? Some kind of interstitial to let us know who these people are and why we should give one goddamn about them. I'd be wondering if season 2 of the HBO's The Last of Us does that, where the first few episodes aren't about Joel and Ellie, but about Abby here. I think that would be much better received. Although I am somewhat looking forward to seeing people's reactions, because the people who are watching the Last of Us TV show, I'd be willing to bet most of them haven't never played the game. So I want to see what their reaction is going to be when that thing happens. We all know what that thing is, or at least most of us do. But that does it for the news, which does it for the show as well. This has been GamePoints 382, and thank you all for showing up. If you like what you see here and you want to support the stream, you know what to do. Like, spits, follow, sub, shares, all that good stuff. There's a Discord you can join, link provided there below. You can follow me over on X at CapitalistPig21, and you can also follow me here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, where I will stream random things throughout the week. Tomorrow, maybe some Halls of Torment, maybe finally start American Arcadia. I don't know. Something. Been hitting the Hearts of Iron really hard. I'm still in the middle of that Japan run. Maybe that. We'll see. I hope to see you all then, though. But until then, you all take care. I'll be seeing.